Welcome to today's free presentation, which is Design a Flyer using Microsoft Word 2019/2021. I am your host, Lionel Patterson. I'm a training instructor here at Staff Development and Training Department. I've been working here for over 6 years now, and I've been focused merely on the areas of application software training as well as operating system trainings with Windows operating system. So just to kind of go over some objectives of introduction, which I already did. Insight of Microsoft Word 2019/2021. Just going to go ahead and demonstrate a slight glimpse of Microsoft Office Word 2019 and 2021 user interface. This is just kind of some slides that I was able to utilize from my, Microsoft training for Word Basic Part 1, Intermediate Part 2 is Basic, Advanced Part 3, that I was able to take out some slides and add in here to try to, fill in some areas of understanding and anticipation of which commands and features that we're going to use for today's demonstration. So the types of commands that we're going to use, again, I'm going to do a slight overview with that. So, just anticipate areas that we're going to cover for that. Followed by talking into our scenarios. So in order to, try to understand the tools, it's always good to create a hypothetical scenario. As you guys, maybe some of you may or may not have been, and attendees for my administrative professional conference presentation I did, which was called Something Cool with Microsoft Office. I created a scenario of a hypothetical pirate camp and utilizing PowerPoint, Word, and, Excel to kind of integrate, task-specific things that you can do with those software to accommodate the idea of a pirate camp being commits for children. So this is kind of something that I like to do to make believe a scenario, so then we can kind of get into that as to regards to what we are intending to do or the task that we are given within the scenario and efforts to accomplish that. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the scenario as well. And then we'll get into the area where I'm going to do a demonstration as to how you can simply design a flyer utilizing Microsoft Word. So these are just the objectives that we are going to cover today. So here we go. So now that we have that out of the way, we'll go ahead and move on to the next slide. So again, inside of Microsoft Word 2019 and 2021, we'll have a slight glimpse of the user interface, types of commands that we are going to be using. So slight glimpse, means it's just a small preview. So when it comes to utilizing the application software, Microsoft Word, it is identified with the usage of a Word document. A Word document is simply an electronic document that you can create by using the Word application software. It contains one or many pages. It also can be integrated with text, graphics, tables, and even charts. You can, it can be used to edit or enhance to your specifications. Word documents can be stored on a local computer hard drive or an external hard drive, or it could be distributed through an attachment in an email, or you can also send it as a print job to your peripheral of a printer. So it's taking the idea of what we used to do back in the day with a typewriter. Even like people still joke around with Navajo Nation utilizing typewriters and means to type out forms for your travel authorization or any type of forms that have those 3 stacks of papers on it. But it's kind of like, taking what people used to do back in the day with the typewriter and a sheet of paper, and they'll just start typing in corresponding with the keys on the typewriter, which ink will then fill onto the paper, which will then produce their documents for them. So in ages of how technology is more advancing, we appreciate utilizing software such as, Microsoft Word as a means to, you know, accomplish these types of tasks. And, if you're wondering, there are quite a few companies out there that are rivaling Microsoft with efforts of word processing software. There's, I believe, Corel, WordPerfect. Corel is another software company. You have Google Docs, and I believe Apple used to have one. I forget what theirs were called, but there are some that rival. But ultimately, a lot of us are quite more, um, when it comes to working with word processing software. Immediately, the first thing we thought up of is Microsoft Word. So on this image on the right, this is just a preview of what capabilities Microsoft Word can do. As you can see, this looks like a document of a newsletter, which, is based off a company called Building with Heart. It's got information. You can appreciate the arrangements of text alignment. You also can see how you can change the color of your fonts to kind of separate the paragraphs, as well as including numberings and bullet listings in there to kind of emphasize some importance, at the same time accomplish the idea that your document has this constant flow with information that it's providing. So this is just kind of showing you what types of features that you can incorporate into a Microsoft Word document. So moving on, next we'll talk about is your Word application window. So as you open Microsoft Word, this is basically what you will see upon its launch. If you are not familiar with these, the user interface, just don't feel discouraged, because we're going to go ahead and go step by step on this. So as you can see, when you open it, this is what you'll get. If you're working with 2021, it's slightly different with the arrangements, but rest assured, all of these elements are still integrated or included into the user interface. So first and foremost, you have your title bar. Your title bar for 2019 will always be positioned at the top center of the application window. However, if you're working with 2021 version of Word, it's going to move it to the left. But ultimately, you will have a title bar. This basically gives you information as to what document you have open or active on your window. At the same time, it'll show you any information pertaining if it is in compatibility mode or if you're utilizing the updated version of the software. Next, if you venture to the upper left corner of the user interface, this is your quick access toolbar. Your quick access toolbar is always going to be positioned in the upper left corner. However, you do have the options to move it down underneath the ribbon feature. But the intent of the quick access toolbar is to simply house in frequently used commands that you use in efforts to alleviate you from having to navigate extensively within the software. So by default, you will always see a save button as well as a undo and a redo button housed in your quick access toolbar. However, you do have options to customize this with regards to any other commands that are not being advertised. So if you really get proficient with the software, and if there's one command that you constantly have to navigate to retrieve and utilize, it'd be a lot convenient if you just apply that command to your quick access toolbar. That way it will alleviate you from having to go through to navigate to find that command. So One of the things that these software try to encourage is to be more elusive with it, meaning that you don't want to navigate extensively. They'll try to find ways for to accommodate you as the user to make it more convenient and, precise. So by, customizing your quick access toolbar is one way. And of course, if you happen to right click with your computer mouse in the documents area, you'll see there's going to be like a mini toolbar as well as a context menu that will pop up that will advertise some frequent or commonly used commands that you might want to consider using. So again, the software developers are just trying to find ways that you can be more elusive without having to go through the trouble of navigating. So this feature here is your ribbon. Unlike other application software out there, and I'm probably going to use the example of Adobe Photoshop because I use that quite often. Back in the day, Microsoft Word Office also did this, but I don't know if you guys can venture way back. I'm going back into my high school in the mid 90s, and this is when computers were just booming. I used to utilize the software in high school, Microsoft Office 97, I believe is the one we were using. And the way they had their user interface structured was like you see a tab bar on the top, and you click on the tab with what tab you want to use, and then it'll drop down your listings of commands within that tab bar. Some softwares like Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Creative Cloud still use that feature, but Microsoft is starting to acknowledge that, hey, our users are visual comprehensive, that they don't want to see the names of a list down, that we want to at least guesstimate what these intent tools are. What they've done instead is they created this ribbon feature where it kind of acts like folders in a filing cabinet. So as you can see, each ribbon, it kind of mimics that. So when you click on the tab in the ribbon, you'll see that there's going to be categories of command groups. In this case, this example, you see it's the home tab. Then you see clipboard, font group, paragraph, and styles and editing. So the way they arranged it is your tab, your command groups, and whatever's in that command group, the commands are going to be housed in there. And they don't give it to you by name. They give it to you as icons or symbols of what task specific commands that these can provide in efforts to help you, the user, utilize them. So they arrange their user interface in this efforts to try to, have users visually, comprehend the command. And then once they identify its purpose, they can start by selecting it and applying those, options onto their document. So they've done this since Office 2010. And it's been quite useful to this point. So I do appreciate how Microsoft has set up its user interface in this structure. So that way it makes it more convenient for users to kind of navigate, without going through the trouble of taking a look and not understanding the intent of the command is. So this is, what they refer to as your ribbon. Now, of course, with the user interface, you also have your documents area. So this is basically where you are going to be working in efforts to type up your document. So with Microsoft Word, it's given you that visual intent of here is a blank sheet of paper. Preferably, it's probably 8.5 by 11 sheet. Now, whatever you type in here, and if you send it to the print job, this is going to be the end result of what you see here is going to be what you're going to be producing. So this kind of makes it excessively easy for users to comprehend the intent of what they're typing. So granted, I'm pretty sure we've all done this more than once with efforts to typing up memorandums or reports or anything pertaining to typing up documents. So this is your document area. And of course, down at the bottom of your Windows interface, you also have, your status bar. You have options to include additional features or status information in your status bar. So this is always going to be housed at the bottom, which will give you statistical information pertaining to the document that you have currently open. So as you can see, it says page 1 of 2 at the bottom. This just gives me, the user, the status information that I'm on page 1 of a completed document of 2 pages. So if you happen to have more than 2 pages, you'll see in your status bar, which page that you're going to be in. And it kind of gives you that information with the counts of words, or if there's other status information that you want to toggle on and off, you have that, within your options of your status bar. So that's always going to be housed at the bottom of your user interface window. And of course, venturing to the right side, you have your scroll bars here. So again, if you happen to zoom in or zoom out of your documents area for your viewing, you can utilize the scroll bar to maneuver yourself around up and down or left and right if that's available. So this is just kind of allows you to scroll from one document to another, or again, if you zoomed in like 300%, then you can utilize that to scroll and navigate yourself around within your document window. And of course, you have your zoom bar, which is housed in the bottom right corner. This gives you some commands that's also housed in your view tab. Commands such as your zoom. So if you want to zoom in or zoom out of your document, you have the options to toggle that bar between your minus and your plus sign. And you can see there's a percentage giving you information as to how much percentage you are zoomed in as well as zoomed out of your document. So you have that there, and of course you have different variations of document views right next to it. Again, anything that you see in your zoom area is also going to be housed in your view tab. So this is just kind of giving you basic information of your user interface. And again, if you want to venture more information, you have that guide that I just equipped into the chat bar that can allow you guys to kind of just see this here. So if you're not quite proficient with this, this is just kind of laying out as to what you need to anticipate upon launching this application software. And here is just some guides to consider. And this is what I just want an overview for. I did see in the chat that people are asking if I can submit this in as a presentation that I can share. What I can do is probably, I don't want to share the whole presentation. I'm going to see if I can convert it to a PDF. Once I convert these slides to PDF, then I'll go ahead and share it at the conclusion of the session, because there's a lot of animation in this, and I don't think sharing it, is going to be helpful. And I can't share it because I'm currently viewing the presentation slide at the moment, but I will put this in as it can be shared. So again, information is always good to pass around. So at the conclusion of this, presentation, I'll see what I can do to make this shareable for you guys to have to take into account. So again, touching on one of the main integral features of your user interface is your ribbon. And the ribbon is a graphical menu panel that appears at the top of the application window. It's It's designed to provide central location of accessing various functions of the environment without having to navigate extensively. The ribbon is made up of two parts, the tab and the command groups that make up for each tab. Each tab has an organizational title that reference the specific functions that the command groups within the tabs provide. Each command group also has an organizational title, which the specific commands within each groups are associated with specific tasks in this application environment. So again, your tabs are at the top. You'll see these embedded lines in between that will separate the command groups. So you can see at the bottom the names, clipboard, font, paragraph, style, editing, and so forth. So as you toggle to each different tabs, you'll notice it still has the same structure, but it has command groups that are catered to that specific organizational title. So if you want to kind of get an insight of what the purpose of each of these defaulted tabs are, here's a listing here. So as you can see, file. The file tab basically is your backstage view tab. Unlike the ribbons, the file basically takes you to another layout where it completely covers your entire screen that offers you additional options and tabs that is geared towards specifically to your document. So if there's something that you need to configure, like your options or information of properties, for an example, you can venture towards your file tab. Or if you need to save as, open, or select a new document, whether it's a blank document or taking a look at the variety of templates Word has to offer, you can venture into your file tab. You can also go to your print options as well. Home tab is basically going to be the defaulted tab that you're going to see upon launch of the application software. So these tabs basically consists of command groups of clipboard, which is your cut, copy, and paste feature. Font groups, your font characters. Paragraph is your paragraph arrangements. Styles is like pre-formatted styles that have been incorporated into your application software. If you don't want to go through the trouble of formatting, a particular type of paragraph, you can venture into your styles group to, accommodate you. You also have your editing group, which you can do find and replace feature. So these are within your home tab. And of course, insert tab. Insert gives you the intent idea that I want to insert a particular object into my document. So insert objects would pertains to like a page, a table. Illustration group would consist of like images that you can insert, shapes, screenshots, charts, just to name a few. Add-ins is another feature that they incorporate where you can download like extensions to your application software that you can utilize these extensions efforts to help you enhance your experience with Microsoft Word. And of course, you have media, links, comments, header and footer, text, and symbols. So we're going to focus majority of today's session with the insert tab. So again, inserting into our document. So of course, you have design. This can allow you to change certain themes of your document. There again, it has pre-formatted settings that you can use, or if you want to change your page background to a different color, or if you want to incorporate a page border to your document, or even a watermark, you can venture into your design tab to help you. So, and of course you have layout. Layout focuses on the aspects of your document page, whether you want to change the page size from a letter size to a legal size, which is 8.5 by 11. Or if you want to change it to a tabloid size, which is 11 by 17, you can go into your layout area to also accommodate you to do such. So I'm not going to really get into all of these. Again, I can, share the presentation that you guys, if you want to get more information pertaining to what these tabs are, it has that on here. So, sharing is caring, right? This is one of the features that I really like about Microsoft Office, even with utilizing 2019 to 2021 version, is the help feature. If you ever get into a situation where you're trying to understand certain commands or features that Microsoft Word has, and you can also apply this to Excel and PowerPoint, you can venture into your help menu. The help menu has been updated and is so current to this point that when you go in there and try to inquire any types of information with whatever commands or features that Word has, the help menu kind of acts as a search engine. But just keep in mind, if you're going to utilize this feature, you have to make sure your computer is connected to the internet, because unlike previous versions of Office where the help menu used to be installed and included into the application software, in this day and age of how high-speed internet is more convenient to all of us consumers or employees for that matter, um, it has it to where it acts like a search engine. So you can type in whatever you're inquiring in the search bar, hit enter or click on the magnifying glass icon, and it's going to search within the confines of its server, which is probably housed in Washington State, because that's where Microsoft's headquarters is at. And it'll possibly give you hits of results pertaining to information that you are inquiring about. So if you feel like for any reason you need assistance, and I'm not just talking about Word, Microsoft Excel and PowerPoint also has this feature that you can, get intuitive with. So if, for instance, in Excel, if you're having trouble trying to comprehend a specific function and you don't really understand, the function, you can type it in the help menu, and if it has a number of hits, it'll probably give you information of the purpose of that function. And who knows, there'll probably be like a nice video that you can watch, and it'll probably show you visually the intent of that function. So, if you ever get into a sticky situation with utilizing Microsoft Office, I'd encourage you to take a look at the help option, because, I've used it quite often. I'm not saying that I'm really like masterful with the software. I know enough to get by, but I revert to the help menu to, gain some information if needed. So encourage you just to utilize this if you need it. So that's kind of just going through a rough interface, rough rundown or a glimpse of the user interface and elements. So again, these are also what we are covered in the Microsoft 2019 Part 1, Part 2 courses that we offer here at Staff Development and Training Department. So I was able just to take tidbits of the slides that I utilize in those trainings and incorporate it for the purpose of this presentation. So moving on to the next one, it's types of commands that we are going to use for the durations of this training. So here is our insert tab, and this is kind of what is going to be expected with utilizing Microsoft Office 2021 version of Word. So you can see it's slightly different than 2019 version. But with 2021 version, what areas that we're going to focus on is your pictures, your insert tab under the illustration group here. So the commands that we are going to utilize is the pictures. And of course, pictures, there's three options that you can insert pictures from. It can come from your hard drive if you have archives of pictures that you have housed on your computer or on an external hard drive. You can go online. Microsoft does have its own search engine that rivals Google. Their search engine is called Bing.com. So they integrated Bing.com's feature with image search into what you can search online for images that you can, if it's allowable, you can insert those into your document. And then they also introduced a new feature in 2021 called stock images. So if you don't know what stock images are, they're basically like these companies out there, they have licenses of all these images that you can purchase the license for to utilize. So in efforts to try to alleviate like any types of copyright infringement issues, you can, purchase a membership to certain companies, and most likely they'll provide you a catalog of or libraries of stock images that you can use for presentations that they can give you licenses for, to give you authorizations to utilize those images. So Adobe Stock is one of them. I use that quite often if I need to get like a stock image to put into my presentation. eBrothers Learning is another one. They have some pretty cool ones, and I believe with eBrothers Learning, they did have some stock images that pertain to indigenous people. I recall they had one that said Navajo, and I took a glance at it. It had a lady, but she did look native, but she didn't look Navajo to me. I mean, it was just kind of odd, but most likely they'll probably get more updated with their content. But they do have stock images included in there with your pictures command. So this is with regards to utilize in 2021. And of course, shapes. I am going to be using a lot of shapes today. So shapes is something that you can integrate and then utilize them as a means to efforts to create diagrams, or to emphasize certain features within your document. So I'm going to use shapes, and I include icons on here. Icons are basically some vector-based images. Now, if you don't know what vector images are, basically comparing it to like a picture that you take with your phone or a digital camera, those images that you take, they're probably created with the extension of an image format called JPEG or PNG, which is an acronym for Portable Network Graphics. So with those, depending on the resolutions that you set on your cameras, and when you initiate taking the shot, if it's low resolution, like say 72 DPI, which is pixels per inch, if you were to take that image and blow it up and kind of change the scales to expand it, your image is going to be somewhat blocky because it doesn't have the necessary resolutions to accommodate scaling it big. It's just going to basically, try to accommodate, but you'll start to notice that your image is going to have these little like spots in it. So that's kind of understanding what pixels are. Vectors, on the other hand, they're required to use some type of mathematical equation in efforts to try to accommodate the sharpness of the image, even if you scale it small or enhance it. So for an example, the flyers that I created, let's see. Okay, so this one here. So notice that it is at 100%. So when I zoom in to 500, notice how like crisp these lines are. If I go any closer, like let's say 1,000%, it's still going to remain crisp. So this is what vector images are. So you can see the sharpness of them. It's clean. So icons in Microsoft Word do utilize these features. So if I were to upload, like let's say Vera's here, and if I zoom in as much as I can, notice the image, like you see the Navajo Nation seal, it's kind of fuzzy, or the staff development. This is because this image here is a pixel image. So because I zoomed in and this is at 500%, it's kind of just reducing its resolution, and it's kind of just trying the efforts to make sure the image is concise. It does accomplish the intent if you zoom out. But if you're working with a vector image as opposed to a pixel image, you'll appreciate the sharpness and crisp a vector image can provide. So with respects to utilizing icons in your presentation, Microsoft did incorporate that in as well. So there's a catalog of vector images that you can use. Not only you can do this in Microsoft Word, but you also can do it in PowerPoint as well as Excel. You also have your text group here in your insert tab. As you can see, you have text box, quick parts, word art. These are the ones that we are going to use. So text box, unlike working with your Word document where we're going to have to type inside the documents area, no, we are going to attempt to alleviate from doing that. And in order to put in text into our document, we're going to utilize text box features because it makes it easy to maneuver your text boxes around and set up the arrangements. Now, quick parts is something that I also mentioned in my Microsoft Word course. So whether you are aware of this or not, when you open up Microsoft Word, like if you go into your insert tab and if you go to cover page, you'll see different variations of cover pages that you can click and install and insert into your document. Those types of cover pages that were created, they call them building blocks. And if you go down to any gallery in your Word application software, you'll see, like, say, for instance, your text box, you see different variations of text boxes that were created. Those are referred to as your quick parts. So when you go into your quick parts gallery, you can see a whole catalogs of every building blocks that Microsoft Office has included that you can use. So with quick parts, you can take advantage of this. You can create, like say something like an image. And when you create an image or a shape, instead of having to repeat utilizing that image or that whole arrangement, you can simply just save it as a quick part. So if you feel the need to incorporate that into other documents, you'll save yourself time by trying to attempt to mimic or recreate what was used. By saving it as a quick part, you can just simply select it and then it'll insert that selection into your document. So I do cover quick parts in my Word, I believe part 2 training. And of course, word art is just enhanced features with effects, as well as fill and outlines that you can apply to any text within your document. So these are the two primary features that I believe I'm going to be utilizing in efforts of today's session. And of course, once you have successfully inserted an object, whether it's a picture, a text box, or even a shape, when you select that object, you are going to see an additional tab being applied into your ribbon area. That tab is what they refer to as your contextual tabs. So for an example, if you were to insert an image into your document and you select that image, you'll notice there is a Picture Tools Format tab that will appear. And the Picture Tools Format tab will basically, which is right here, which basically will offer you additional command groups and commands pertaining specifically to that image. So if there's some type of effects that you would like to apply, or if there's some type of changes you want to make with the arrangements, the scaling of the image, if you want to crop it down, you have your contextual tab of your pictures formats to accommodate you to do such. And this one here is your shapes contextual tab. So if you happen to insert a shape, or even like, let's say, a text box, you'll notice that your text box will act as a means of a shape, which then you'll see a shape format contextual tab will appear. Now, if you feel like you want to get into additional options to these pertaining to the object that you selected, you'll notice when you select more options features, you'll see a format pane pop up on the right side of your application window, which will then give you additional options that you can go through pertaining to that particular selection. So these are basically areas that we are going to cover with regards to utilizing the Insert tab feature for today's presentation. This is talking about the online. So again, I just mentioned this early. You can search images like you search online and incorporate those into your document. You also have a size. So these are what they refer to as your dialog box launchers. So if you see these little markers at the corner of each command group, and if they're active, and if you feel like there's a particular tool that you can't get to, or you like to venture more additional options, you can select these markers, and it's going to initiate your dialog box launcher, which will provide you additional options that most likely you might hopefully find the commands or options that you are working with. So here's an example of when you hit the size dialog box launcher, you'll see it's going to open up your layout dialog box, and it's going to select the size tab here, which can allow you options to select for, sizing or changing the scale of your image. Okay, so cropping is another cool tool to use. If you happen to insert an image into your document and you notice that there's a variety of negative space attached to the image, you can go to the cropping tool in your contextual tab feature once you select the image under size. And when you hit cropping, it's going to show these black handle markers on each corner and each side of your image. It's just as easy as selecting the markers and scaling it in or out to crop out your image. So what I mean by negative spacing is, as you can see here, this whole area right here, we don't need that area there. Probably can't see it with this color. Let me change it. This area of the dog, chilling, you don't need this area here. So you can move this marker up and crop it to where the main focus of this image is going to be that dog. So that's what you can use your cropping tool for. And what I like about the cropping tool is that whatever you remove as you scale your cropping handles, it's not to say that once you are complete cropping your image, it's going to remove the entirety of the areas that's not being, utilized. It's just hiding it. If you feel like you need to rescale your cropping, you can simply go back to cropping, and the image is still going to remain with its original scaling. Then you can have the options to recrop it as you see fit. Comparing this to utilizing Microsoft or Adobe Photoshop, once you crop an image, it's kind of like just set. If you need to redo, you probably have to undo or revert back to the image when it was open. But when you crop in Photoshop, it's going to be it. It's going to cut every sides, and what you have cropped is what you're going to be given. Wrap text is another cool feature that we're going to use. Most often, I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but if you insert an image into your document, and then if it has text content inside of it, it's defaulted it's going to be, in line with text. So you'll start to see your text be a bit skewed or moved in efforts to try to accommodate the image being inside with the lines of your document. If you have experienced that, and if you are kind of discouraged as to in fear that this is kind of like altering your document, you can go into your picture tools format and select wrap text under the arrange group, and you can simply select in front of text or square, and it'll kind of just take it out of the area where it's inside the line of your text, and it will make it look where your image can be. You can move your image around without altering your content within your document. And if you see this anchor tool here, and if you see right here, it says fixed position on the page, even if the content of the document is being maneuvered, that image is going to be anchored, set into your document. So as the text starts to flow, your image is not going to move with it. But even if you move your image around, your text has to accommodate what you are attempting to do. So that's a feature that I really tend to appreciate with the relationship of images as opposed to with what you have in your documents area. So if you feel like you want to keep your image at a certain area and not have it alter with regards to maneuvering of your text, you can hit the button that says fixed position on page, and you'll see this anchor icon, which basically indicates that it's going to anchor that onto your document. Position arrangements, again, this helps if you want to move your image around in accordance to your document. So as you can see with wrapping text, you can, if you want to move the image at the upper left corner, center, or upper right corner. If you want to do it in middle left, middle, middle right, or bottom left, bottom middle, or bottom right, you can select the image and select that, and it'll go ahead and reposition your image in accordance to where you select it. So you don't have to try to guesstimate yourself. This particular option will provide that for you. And of course, I was mentioning, there's always going to be features like more options. Like here, as you see, more layout options. So when you select that, it will initiate a dialog box launcher, what will give you additional options, extensively pertaining to what you're selecting here. So as you can see, it has the layout dialog box initiated. You have your position, which you can see position up there. And then, of course, you have your text wrapping, which you can see it's got more additional information with regards to wrapping text. And I do cover this in my training. So this is just kind of giving you an insight with these features with regards to maneuvering or repositioning, objects, as well as, changing the wrapping arrangements to where the picture does not affect your document area. So this is one particular feature that we are going to get more into it today. It's your object arrangements. So if you have more than one object onto your document, and if you're stacking them in layers, you can select that object, and you can alter which is going to be at the very bottom and what is going to stack up on top. So this particular feature where it says bring forward and send backwards, or bring to the front or send to the back, these are areas that we are going to cover in efforts to try to enhance our flyer with the use of shapes as well as images, and with respects to the text boxes that we incorporate in as well. And this is kind of just the layer method that we are going to utilize. Microsoft Adobe Creative Cloud with Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign, just to name a few of their software, utilize this feature. You can add layers of, into an image document, And based on the layer arrangements, you can incorporate specifically what types of images you want to apply in there. And then on top of it, it's going to be, the second layer, which you can incorporate additional image. And then if you want to include a third layer for text, all of this is going to be layered, but what you see on the screen is going to look like it's just all merged into one. So this is kind of the idea that we are going to use in efforts to creating a flyer for today's presentation. It's kind of the reason why I was going over these examples here. So these are some tools that we'll get into in efforts to helping us with that. Alignment guides. I do really appreciate what Microsoft did here with 2019 and 2021 features. They have these alignment guides that when you click on an object and drag them around, you'll see these guides pop up. It'll be like a glimpse, and these kind of help you with alignment efforts. So if you want to align an image that is going to be like at the top of a paragraph, or if you're trying to get that image dead center into your documents area and you click and drag, once you see these lines pop up, that's kind of giving you some guides that you can perhaps use in efforts to change the arrangements of your document with respects to objects that you incorporate in there. Microsoft, Adobe Creative Cloud utilizes this features quite often with Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop. So Microsoft Office also does integrate this feature for its intent to help users with regards to aligning certain objects that is kind of like with respects to your text document or your documents area. So, yay, Microsoft for doing that. And of course, when you if you select your image and if you go to your pictures formats tab, you'll see on the far right an adjust command group. I kind of jokingly like to say this particular command group is like Microsoft's poor man's way of, or poor man's approach to Adobe Photoshop. Like you can do a lot of good image editing in Photoshop that is quite, professional. But, Microsoft is still trying to accommodate certain types of filters or like approaches that Photoshop does, quite extensively by including in an adjust command group where you can remove background. This is kind of like a tool that requires a lot of patience, but if you're able to get it, you can remove a particular object's background, and then you can make it transparent to where the image is set there. You can change the corrections by applying sharpness or blur or brightness to contrast to an image. You can add a color filter, like if you want to change a color image to a grayscale image or add a filter to that image, you can go into your colors to accommodate that. Or if you want to add like an effects filter to your image, like say for an example, you have an image that you incorporated, but you're like, hey, I want to see if it can look like a color pencil sketch. You can go to artistic efforts, and if you see color pencil sketch, it's going to apply a filter to that image where it kind of resembles a color pencil sketch image, which you can apply to your document. So these, again, as I mentioned, these are also, incorporated in Adobe Photoshop, but they're just kind of applying some additional features that can aid you in efforts to enhance any types of imagery that you incorporate into your document. So this is your adjust group in your pictures format contexture tab. Text boxes, as I mentioned before, we're going to utilize this feature quite often. And if you go to your insert tab and you select text group and text box, you see this drop down. As I emphasized before, Microsoft does incorporate an extent variety of building blocks of text boxes that you can scroll down and take a look at. If you see these types of building blocks that already have been created that you want to use for means of text boxes, by all means, you can select it and it's going to incorporate that into your document, which then you can just edit it. But for the duration of this training, we are going to use draw text box. So we can go to draw text box and just toggle your text box out, which then you can go ahead and draw it to the dimensions to your specifications and then incorporate your text inside your text box. So word art. Word art is a pretty snazzy tool to use. I used to make fun of word art a lot because I never used to like it back in Office 97 days. And I have a sense of appreciation for the tools that, like, say, Microsoft Office has integrated and has upgraded for users to take advantage of. So when you drop down your word art in your insert tab, you'll see immediately there's a lot of eye-catching effects of predefined word art that has been created for users to take advantage of. So you see like drop shadows, you see like reflections, you see like gradient color effects inside fonts. You see like outlines to enhance your image. Just taking a look at this selection in the gallery, I do have a sense of appreciation as to how Microsoft enhanced its capabilities of word art for users to take advantage of and get so creative with in efforts to enhance their documents. So take advantage of word art. If I encourage you, you can see the drop down, or if you want to get so intuitive with word art, you can always venture into your shapes, format shapes, contexture tab. They do have a text command group where you can go ahead and customize your own word art if you see fit. And shapes here, again, in your insert tab, these are just graphical figures that you can select down on this whole listings of options in the gallery. You can see they have them categorized. You can take a look at shapes. Once you select your shape, it's easy as just clicking and dragging it from diagonal to enhance the scaling of your shape. Once you select your shape, you can go into your shape format tab and enhance or edit your shape as you see fit. And of course, you also can apply text inside your shape, believe it or not. So like, say for an example here, you see this firecracker explosion shape that has been drawn out. If you want to incorporate text inside that shape, you can simply right click it with your context menu popping up, and you see a command there that says add text. When you see that, select that, you'll see like a blinking cursor inside your shape where then you can initiate typing in your text with inside that shape. So we covered quite extensively with regards to just doing an overview with Microsoft Word. I think the dogs have stopped barking. Let me just reopen my window. It's kind of getting stuffy in here. Now that we have covered quite a few, let's get into our scenario. So this here is a company that is called Coaching Others to Win, acronym COW. See how cool that is? I got a cow giving you guys a thumbs up. So what is COW? Coaching Others to Win is a nonprofit organization based out of the city of Morgantown, Wisconsin. The purpose of COW is to promote and educate the community about healthy and nutritional living, as well as providing professional development to its youth and community members alike. COW is sponsoring a summer sports camp for the youth within the city of Morgantown, Wisconsin. This is Morganville, my bad. Morganville, Morgantown, either one. But again, hypothetical. This is a hypothetical sense. So as you can see here, there's a listings of camps that are going to be, for events. First one is soccer camp. As you can see, this already passed, which was in June. This past month, the 17th to the 19th. And then they just recently finished up their baseball camp, which was in July 16th to the 17th. And now upcoming, we have the football camp. Now, if you're wondering why I'm decked out in my Arizona Cardinals gear and you see the University of Phoenix Stadium in my, profile, that's kind of the theme that I'm trying to go with, is the football theme. So this is the point why I'm, acknowledging that this is going to be in efforts to creating a flyer for a football camp. Our task, okay, so as everyone in coaching others to win is hard at work, getting everything in order with the event. So we're talking about getting permits for the venue or the sports complex, getting the liability insurance to make sure we have that, working arrangements with the local EMTs in efforts to make sure they're there in case someone gets hurt, getting food vendors to, distribute food or, make food for the participants, calling up sponsors to get like incentives for the kids that are attending. I mean, everyone's all hands on deck for this efforts. So everyone is hard at work for this events. You are tasked to create a flyer to distribute to the community as a print and posted, as well as sending them electronically through email and social media outlets. So our task is basically generate a flyer so we can gain interest for kids to register for these training camps. You are required to use what available application software that is on your computer. You observe the computer as you turn it on that you were assigned to, and you notice you only have Microsoft Office 2021, installed. So what is there to do? That's the thinking. What is there to do? Well, you can think outside the box as the expression. So if you are not convinced that this can be accomplished, I'll show you. Remember I was telling you about the two flyers? But first, this is the method that we're going to use with efforts to using Word. We're going to use the stacking method. So the first thing that we are going to create with our flyer is the background scene, followed by incorporating either the image or the text. So with these shapes and text boxes and images that we are going to create, basically we're going to use this method, and we're not going to get inside the documents area. We'll see in some efforts that it might integrate that in there, but we're going to attempt to try to alleviate that with the efforts of this presentation. So again, if you're not convinced, for the soccer flyer that was, for the soccer event, a flyer was created. And here you go. This is a soccer flyer that was created for the June 17th and the 19th event for the summer sports camp. And again, these were created in Microsoft Word. So let's see here. I am going to demonstrate that by uploading that flyer onto the chat so you guys can take a look at it and see that these flyers were in fact created in So as you can see, if you take a look at your chat feature, you see the flyer there. So, download it. You'll see it's a Microsoft Word document. And when you open it, you can see the flyer has been created in Word. The next event, which is the baseball one, is this flyer right here. So this is the baseball flyer that was created as well in Microsoft Word. So again, to draw some convictions, let me see if I can download this as well or upload it. So if you take a look at your chat feature, you can see that Microsoft Word document is on there. So just give me a thumbs up if you download it, so then I'll know. So fantastic. Now, this is I'm hoping that it's engaging your enthusiasm, like, wow, I can't believe these were created in Word. But yeah, they were created in Word. Well, not the cow image. The cow image is something I created with my previous job. So I have a whole catalog of this cow image. Actually, if you want to know the backstory, I used to work with the United States Department of Agriculture for 12 years under the Agriculture Marketing Service for Dairies program up in Washington, D.C. And I used to do a lot of graphical work for them, whether it's enhancing images or doing images for their website. And one of the things that I was tasked to do was to create a mascot for, to efforts to create something that will gear towards kids. So this cow image that you see here is a mascot that I created. His name is Inspector Moo. So again, I work with Agriculture and Marketing Service for Dairies program. So inspector, meaning that they inspect standardization or grade dairy products. So if you see like a USDA A stamp, double A stamp on your dairy products like cheese, butter, or milk, they kind of were focused in that area. So Inspector Moo was created by myself, and I was given the task to create a variety of promotional images for him. And I basically brought him to life for USDA. This is just kind of showing you, what I've done in the past. So you can see the image really enhances the flyers. So these are what was created. Now, so getting back to our slide, I'm going to ask you kindly to also annotate the slide. Just write down, what types of features do you think we are going to use for our flyer? So based on what we've covered, and if you have the flyer open now that I put in the chat, just kind of give me an insight of what you think are some objects that we are going to use with our supposed flyer. So go ahead and again, annotate it onto the screen. So you can go ahead and venture to the shared screen, the top portion where it says you are viewing Lionel Patterson's slide. Go to view options, and then you can go ahead and go to annotate, and then just use the text feature and then type that in. So yeah, I see text box. You're correct. We are going to use text boxes. Fonts, There is a variety of fonts that we are going to use. Titles, pictures, yeah. Shadows, that's a effect, which is good. Colors, we always like to add colors to our flyers because it enhances it. Shapes, yep. Shapes is what we're going to use. Word art is going to be another feature. Background color, we also have effects like shadow effects, over like soft glow effects, just to name a few. So good job. You guys at least have an insight as to what tools that we're going to use. The purpose of this for you guys to annotate is to kind of get an understanding of certain features that Microsoft Office for Word can provide. So, we're so, used to using this software and a means to type documents, which is, preferably what it's used for. But if you're put in a situation or given a task that you need to create an advertisement, you can use this software as a means to also accommodate that. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to see if I can, can I capture the screen? So see everyone annotated. Let me see here, where's my annotate? Okay, let me go to save. I'm going to save this PNG. So I save this. I'm going to hit print screen as well, just in case. So this is saved. So when it comes to, putting this in notes, I'll go and be sure to share it to you guys. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next slide. This here is a GIF. It says, "Get your mind blown." So I like this GIF with Michelangelo. I'm a huge Ninja Turtle fan. So I really like this GIF because when I first saw this, I just started laughing hysterically because this is where Michelangelo ate pizza for the first time in this series. And the moment, of course, if you know Ninja Turtles, you know that they love pizza. So when he first bit into his pepperoni pizza that he found, he bit into it and his brain just exploded. So I have this GIF as file. So it's just an expression. Get ready to get your mind blown. So this ends the slides here. So now I am going to go ahead and initiate my screen. And we're going to go ahead and proceed on. So here's a full screen. Let me just end the show. As I close this, let me see if I can, send it to you as a shared. Now, let me go to chat while we're here. So I am going to go to my computer. Where's the PowerPoint? So it's a 8 megabytes. So if you take a look at the chat feature, the PowerPoint that I used just previously is uploaded. So there you go. So whatever you need to reference, by all means, you can take a look at that there. So now I am going to go ahead and open up Microsoft Word. And once I have Word open, if you guys want to know, take a look at your new tab in your launch page. You can see there templates. Taking a look at templates, you can see there's a variety of templates that you can take advantage of. And as you can see there's a flyer category here under search for templates. So when you select flyer, oh, look at all these cool flyers that you can download and use. So the intent of showing you this here is to appreciate and acknowledge how versatile Microsoft Office has gone for users to take advantage of their software and get so creative that, they can utilize what they're offering as a way of enhancing an advertisement. So rest assured, a lot of people went out of their way to create these templates. As you can see, they have football ones here, but we're not going to use that one. We're going to go ahead and create our own. So you can see here, there's a lot of them. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to new and go to blank. So this is what we have. So again, talking about our layer, and the first thing that I am going to construct here is our background. So a background, the intent of it is to create like, a scene. So with regards to our football camp, I'm going to go ahead and include some stuff in here as well. Maybe you guys want to do this side by side. It's up to you. I don't know if you guys can do two things at the same time. Let's see here. What you see in the chat box here is a document that says text box documents for football. And what I did last night in preparation of this, and with regards to efforts of time, I created kind of like preparation for the text boxes I'm going to use. So you can see here, these are some building blocks that already have been created that I've taken from the previous presentation or flyers, and I created this one here for the title. So I went ahead and downloaded this on, I don't know, you guys probably have different fonts. I'm hoping the fonts didn't change, but these are what they call building blocks or quick parts that I created. So if you feel like you want to try to do this alongside with me, you're more than welcome. I don't know if that will be okay. In addition to that, I'm also going to include in the images that we're going to use here. So let's see here. Let me change this to medium view. Move football is going to be one image that we're going to use. So that's also installed. And of course, the last one is going to be the company logo. So you can download these onto your computer and, put it aside. Again, this session is being recorded. So if you want to go back and follow along with the recording, you're more than welcome to, because my intent is to try to get this onto like a YouTube channel. So then once it's done edit, I can go ahead and put it to where it's accessible for everyone to view. So just give me a thumbs up if you have all that I put in the chat box. Again, this is to your discretion if you guys want to attempt to do this as well. So again, it's a learning experience that we're doing here. It's not like, step-by-step tutorial. This is just to kind of show you guys. Maybe, this is something that you guys want to attempt to do on your own. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, got quite a few thumbs up, so we're going to go ahead and proceed on. So I'm going to move this here. And where is my blank document? Oh, I got to open it up another one. Okay, hold on. File, blank, and I'm going to go ahead and make this large so we can see it. So here we go. So I have my documents area. here, as you can see on my screen. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to create a background with a landscape. So first and foremost is I want to create the sky. So our first layer is going to be a sky theme background. So in order to, commence that, I am simply going to go into my insert tab. Under the insert tab, under the illustration group, I'm going to select shape. And I am going to go to where it says rectangle and select a rectangle shape. So when you select that, notice that your cursor changes into a skinny cross. That's just giving you an indication that it's put in the mood to where you have a shape selected, and it's just as easy as dragging your shape down onto your screen or your documents area and dragging it out. So I'm going to attempt to try to get this at least, covering the entirety of the worksheet. So as you can see, my shape, I'm just moving it around. Now that I have my shape drawn out, I am going to use the shape format feature to enhance the shape with efforts of doing a fill gradient, as well as removing the shape outline. So again, I'm out of it. Contexture tab disappeared. When I click back into the shape, notice that it reemerges to shape format. So I'm going to select the shape. Under the shape styles, I'm going to go to shape outline, drop that down. And you can see that my shape has an outline. If your shape doesn't have an outline, you're good. But if you see an outline, just go to no outline. Then I'm just going to go ahead and drag it to cover the entirety of the documents area. So you should have a blue. So once I have the shape inserted into my documents area, I'm going to select it again. This time, I'm going to go to shape fill under my shape format tab. So shape fill, drop that down. You see down here where it says gradient. Notice that when I toggle these, you're seeing a live preview of the gradient. These are fine and dandy to use, but I want to make sure I have the appropriate colors selected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the bottom here where it says more gradient. And when I hit that, notice that on my right screen, you see a format shapes pane pop up. So you can see it's right here. I'm dragging it in and out, in and out, in and out. So just to kind of emphasize what that is. So I'm going to go ahead and select gradient again. And you notice it's already given me something that was prearranged. It's okay, but I'm going to go down to the area that says preset gradient, and I'm going to select that. And as you can see, it's offering me additional types of gradient effects. So let's say I want to select this one here, but I want to change the direction. I don't want the white effect to happen at the top center. I want to change that where it's going to be at the left corner. So I'm going to go ahead and go to directional here, and you can see it's right here, top left corner. Select that, and there you go. So you see how it changed that there? But notice it's booming too much, and I don't want it to boom too much. So you see in your format shape, there's an area that says grading stops. I'm going to select the white middle, and I'm just going to kind of drag it to the left. As you can see, it's moving it. See, if you drag it like this, you notice it's moving it. So I think right there is good. So that's step one. So you can envision this is your sky background, or it's a nice day, sky blue or whatever, however you call it. So I have that there. Now, the next step is we're going to create the fill landscape. So just kind of emulating what I had in the soccer flyer. That's what we're going to basically do again. We're going to create this feel where the football player is going to be playing on. So in order to do that, I am going to go ahead and go back to insert, go back to shapes, and in the shapes area, take a look at where it says flow chart. Under flow chart, you see this one here that says flow chart document. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's the 7th one on the first row. So select that one, flow chart document shape, and you can see it's selected. Now, the reason why I selected this one, because when I drag it out, notice that it's got that wave at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate this around 180 degrees where I want the wave to be at the top. So when you select your shape that you dragged out, you'll see at the top of your shape selection, there is like a handle that's moving with the arrow that's moving clockwise. That's your rotation handle. So when you select that, you can just move it left to right, or if you hold down your shift key and then you're moving it, you can see it's going to move it like kind of like symmetrical. So right there, oh, there we go. See, notice now I rotate it to where the wave part is at the top and the bottom part looks like a, a rectangle. So I have that set now. And of course, again, the default color that it's giving me is, this blue fill with a dark blue outline. If you see these, it's okay. You can change it yourself, or you can set the selection default. You do have options to do that, but because I have my default selected to when I draw out a shape, this is the arrangement that it's going to give me. But don't worry about it. We can change that. Again, I'm going to select it. It's going to open up my shape fill format, my shape format tab, contexture tab. And once I select that, I am going to go ahead and go to shape outline, go to no outline to remove it. And then I'm going to go ahead and go back to shape fill and just start adding in a green color to it. Like just do standard or this green here. But if I drag it down here and get it in position, you can see now, like, hey, look, it looks like a field in the hills. It's giving you that, like, illusion that this shape is going to see, like you're perceiving, like, this is out in the field and you see a hill and you see the nice blue sky background where it's just like such a nice day. So once we have this set in, again, gradient gives that visual depth to, perception in a way. So with this selected still, I'm going to go back to my shape format tab, shape fill, and I'm going to go back to gradient. Now you can see when I toggle to these gradients, you can see it's got that feel where towards the very end, it's like distance. And as it goes forward toward where it started to blend in light, you'll start to see that's like, near to far. I'm going to go ahead and go back into my format shape because I still have that open. And I'm going to select the light part and go down to this bucket and see if I can change it to just a lighter to kind of enhance that a little bit more. So now you can see our background has been created. Give me a thumbs up if you guys are doing this and this is where you're at. If you're just watching, that's fine. Just give me a thumbs up too. I just want to kind of get some feedback here. Okay, fantastic. So now that we have our background set, I went ahead and took the liberty of, putting my text quick parts aside. So what I'm going to do now is I want to create a perception as if there's a football field inserted into this document. So to create this football field, I would have to rely heavily on my my shape tools to create that. So I'm going to go ahead and go back into insert, and I'm going to go ahead and select shapes again. And I'm going to select the rectangle once more. And I'm just going to simply just drag out here, like right here is good enough, I think, up to here and here. And notice it's still giving me that blue, but I'm going to change that to white. And I'm going to remove the outline. So this is going to be our line for our football field. So once I have the outside line set, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create the lines that go down the football field that marks the 10, 20, 30 yard marks, with respects to the goalposts, touchdown, or as they say in football, pay dirt. So I'm going to go ahead and go back into my insert tab, shapes again. And you can see where it says line, I'm just going to select the first one, just a regular line. Now I'm going to drag it out from here to here. You can't see it because it's that outline. So I'm going to change that to white, and I'm going to change the weight of that. So I'm going to drop down the shape to white, outline to white. And I'm going to go ahead and change that to 6 points. So you can see it's kind of a little bit thicker. So now I have that line there. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to duplicate that line. Now, it would seem tedious if you copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste the same selection, right? I'll show you a shortcut tool to use. Okay, so let me zoom in so we can see this a lot more better. So select your line tool if you're doing it. So as you can see, I have mine selected. Let me zoom in a little more. Now, when you select it on your computer keyboard, hold down the control button. When you hold down the control button, notice there's a plus sign with your cursor. Hold on, let me just see, when you hold down the plus sign, the control, and you can just click and drag, notice it already picks up a duplication of that selection. Now I'm going to let go. Do the same thing, hold down your control key, click and drag that selection. As you can see right there's good. And then one more time. Like so, see? You don't have to copy and paste. You can just hold down the control button and it's going to duplicate that for you. So I need to change these to where this one looks like it's going right here. Again, we're focusing on perception here. As you can see there's my second line. I'm just moving these up. So you can see the lines of our football field. We're going to repeat the same steps, but we're going to create the 4 foot lines as well. So I'm going to go ahead and select my insert tab again, go to shapes and select line. And I'm just going to go right here and then just drag a small one. It's there. I'm going to go ahead and change that to white again and go back to shape outline and go to weight and make that 6 points. Why is it not white? Okay, there we go. So again, I'm going to repeat that. Hold down the control, drag that there, and then drag that there. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe I need to just move it in just out a little bit curved to the end. And again, I'm going to select. If you want to do more than one selection, you can. You just select the first one, hold down the shift key, while you're holding down, select the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. So when you hold down shift key and you select these, you can select them collectively. So as you can see, I have them all selected. Again, just hold down the control key and then just drag that out there. Shift key, drag that out there. And then shift key one more time, drag that out there. So again, it's just kind of showing you perception. It's not really accurate. So I have that there now. So the next step is we're going to include, I guess, the field numbers like 10 yards, goal, and whatever. So I am going to go into my insert tab, text box, draw text, and I'm going to go ahead and draw out my text box. And I am going to just go ahead and type in a 10 or a 1. Select the text box again. We're going to go back into our shape format. With our text box selected, we're going to remove the fill and we're going to remove the outline. So we have our number 1 there. I'm going to select it again, go back to our home tab, go to font colors. I'm going to change that to white, and I'm going to change the font size. As you can see, let me just do this with okay, so that's there. See if I can bold that. Yeah, so you see 1 there. Now I am going to go ahead and let's see here. Select it again. Reverse that around. So you can see it's going to go ahead and go right here. So this is our 10-yard marker. Duplicate that by holding down the control key and dragging it over to the next one here. Now I'm going to change that to a 0. So you can see now it's got 10 yards there. So I can do it one more time. Some goal lines do have the G for goal. So I can just drag this over here. And then I can just go ahead and type in G for goal. And just move it right here to this edge. So as you can see, our football field is almost complete. So the last thing we need to do is we're going to go ahead and change the color of the touchdown area, which is this area here. So again, we're going to go back to shape. I'm going to go ahead and go to insert, shape. And the shape I'm going to be selecting, if you see where it says line, way at the far right of that, the second one to the where it says free form shape, go ahead and select that. Now, what I'm basically going to do is I am going to go ahead and create my own shape by just clicking. So here's my first point, drag it out of the document area. As you can see, I'm highlighting it and then just get to right here and then just try to get it in between that line there. So as you can see, my shape has been created here. So once this is created, again, it's giving me that blue color with the blue outline. I want to remove that and change it. So I'm going to go ahead and select shape outline and no outline. And I'm going to change the fill to standard color dark red. At the same time, I'm going to go back to shape fill and I'm going to go to gradient. So I'm going to add this as a red color to kind of give that depth. So once I have this set, notice that it's overlapping my goal line. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and select this shape here, as well as this goal line, if I can select it. Or hold on. There's two ways to doing this. You can select this here, this line, and then go to shape format. Under your range group, where it says send forward, drop that down. I'm going to go send to front. You can see now it overlapped that. Now I'm going to try to select this line here, which I got. See, I got the line. You can see the marker right here. I'm going to go ahead and bring front. And there you go. Now I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. Now you can see our football field has been created. So if you have this there, then again, just give me a thumbs up. If you are still having struggles with it, don't feel discouraged because again, this is just a demonstration. This is just kind of showing you utilizing efforts of shape to kind of create your images. So okay, so the next part is to include in our football star, Inspector Moo. So I'm going to go back to insert and I'm going to select pictures, this device. I'm going to navigate to my desktop. I have it saved here. There's my picture. So notice when I added it in, it put it where you can't see it. It's because it included it inside your document area. Don't feel discouraged. You can go ahead and select this layout option here and go ahead and change it to, bring in front of text. And there you go. He is brought in front of text. Now I can move him down here. Like right here is good. As you can see now, it's giving that illusion that he's ready to score a touchdown as he's looking at a ball running at the same time. Probably needed to tie his shoe or else he's going to trip. But as much as this kind of irks me, I have to rescale this image down. But it's up to you if you want to. I mean, I'm going to do it because I have a lot of content that I still need to include here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the image size handle at the corner left, hold down my shift key, and I'm going to just drag in so I can rescale Mr. Moo down. Right there's pretty good. And I'm going to leave him, let's say right here is good enough. In addition to that, I'm going to add some perception to him by including a shadow underneath his feet. And to perfect that, I'm going to do an oval shape, which is going to be underneath him. So I'm going to go back to my insert tab, go back to shape and select oval, and then just drag that underneath him right here. So it can give that perception that he is in the picture. And I'm just going to change that to black. So this is what we have now. And of course, I have like, let's say almost 45 minutes. It's a good thing I created those, you know, text boxes in advance. So if you have that, just go ahead and open it. I am going to move these side by side so you can see here my text document for football flyer is there. Now it's just as easy as selecting, copying, and pasting on to our flyer. So coaching others to win is the text box with the font use of Adobe font. I'm just going to highlight the text box, Control C to copy, go into my document here for the flyer, and then just paste. Well, let's see here. Let's close this here. I paste it. So now you can see my text box hasn't been included. So I'm going to put that at the top. My next one is this title, Summer Football Camp. So just select that. Make sure you select the outer, not the inner, the outer. I grouped this together if you have that. So just select it, copy, and again, go in here and then pasting it. You can see it added it in there. So I'm going to move it right here. Then of course, the next one is for boys and girls, which is here. Copy that, paste it in here, and that's going to be right here. And then of course, where it says camp August 20th to the 22nd, select the text box, copy it, go into my document and paste it, move that here. But what I'm going to do once I place it right here is I'm going to move the justification from left justification to right. So you see that, go to your home tab. Under your paragraph group, you see right, align right. So when I change that, see now you see it move to the right. And if you think, oh, wait, I can't see the fonts because it's not complementing with the background. What you can do is you can just simply highlight the fonts, change that from a black to a white color. And then where it says Moveville Sports Park, Morgantown, Wisconsin, highlight that. And we're going to go ahead and change that to a yellow. But notice there's more space between the edge and where the football character is. We're going to go ahead and accommodate that space by simply increasing this font. Let's go down one more time. There. So now you're starting to see the flyer is being crafted. Move this up just a little bit. Right there. Move that up just a wee bit. Right there. So we just got two more things to take into account now, which is the logo as well as the, well, let me see if I can increase this here. It's too much now. Never mind. Let's leave it the way it is. So as you can see down here, I have this where it says, online registration at www.coachingothers2win.com. It's just a make-believe website. I don't know if it exists. I just made it up. And of course, for more information, call Buddy at 928-555-1234. So you see this text box here. You can just simply select it, copy it, go into your document and paste it. And then, of course, just drag it down here. Move my football and shadow up. There you go. See? Now the final part is we're going to go ahead and put in the coaching others to win logo. So I'm going to go ahead and increase this to this here. Go to my insert tab, pictures, this device, and here's my logo. Again, I just sent it to you guys. So you can go ahead and click on that. Again, if you don't see it, it's because it's putting it inside the document area. So you can just go ahead and click on layer out option and then go to in front of text. There's your logo. And then you can just place that down here and then you can rescale it. Rescale it and there you go. So that's put in position there. Now notice that your logo is kind of like blending in with the background and it's you can't really see the wording of that. This is where effects can take into play. So with the logo still active, I am going to go into our picture format tab, go into pictures effects, go to glow. You can toggle the glow and you can see colors. But I'm going to go to the area that says more glow colors and I'm going to select a white color. So then it can have that slight glow effect to kind of enhance the logo to where you can see it and the background wouldn't be disruptive for it. If you feel inclined to change your glow effects again, you can just simply go and select the image, go to picture tools format, picture effects, go back to glow, and then you can go down to the bottom where it says glow options. So it's going to take you back to your format pictures. You have your, effects selected and you have glow toggle down. And this particular area is where you can go to change, like say you want to change the size of it as I'm toggling up, or you want to change the transparency of it, see? So if you need to change any of these, you can simply go back to the format pictures and then, apply the effects to it. Drop shadow to that there. And I'm just going to move this up. Now, as you can see, you have your flyer. And this is what has been, generated. So this shows you that this can be accomplished using Microsoft Word. Pretty cool, huh? So the final coup de grace is that I am going to print this. Ooh, look at that. Pretty snazzy. And when I send it to the printer,